Let's all take the God pill, everyone. Now, I've been doing this kind of this pseudo quasi series here over the past little while. Okay, taking a look at the tenets of traditional masculinity. Okay, what it means to be a modern feminine woman, but it all just encompasses over at the end of the day. It involves the involvement, whatever. Okay, you just need to embrace God, apparently, according to these types of people. We'll see, okay, because I've said, okay, on this channel, and then on the main channel as well, okay, I totally support the Judeo-Christian values that we've seen and has upheld society for however so long, but there comes a point in time where you don't really need the church, and maybe the church has just kind of deviated away from the teachings in order to embrace a certain type of political ideology. So the teachings are fine. Of course, like they're going to uphold civilization. Some books are maybe a little bit more stringent and needed now than at any point in time in history, and maybe some of the chosen leaders who walk the chosen path should get back and read the books and just start enforcing the letter of the law. How about that? I'm just saying, okay? So practice your spirituality, religiosity. Embrace Jesus however you want to. How about that? For decades, well-being across adulthood has followed what social scientists called a U-shaped pattern. Higher well-being in young adulthood, a dip during midlife, and increased well-being in older age. All right. But earlier this year, a human flourishing program at Harvard University released troubling findings showing that there has been a complete flattening out of the left side of this U-curve. Oh no, the well-being of young adults has dramatically declined compared to older age groups. I wonder why. There's so many different things, but I'll allow you to lay out your talking points. How about that? A decline in what larger for any age than for any other variable, including gender and race. Okay, so age comes on top of gender and race. Interesting. Kind of interesting. Okay, so as reported, a JAMA Psychiatry. Okay, our findings support evidence of a mental health crisis and increase in loneliness in the United States that has disproportionately affected young adults and extends to multiple additional facets of well-being beyond mental health. Happiness, physical health, meaning, character, social relationships, and financial stability have all significantly declined for young adults. In the words of Tyler J. Vanderweel, one of the authors of this study, this goes beyond a mental health crisis with potentially dire implications for the future of our nation. Yes, because these sad people will eventually grow up and become old sad people. What are we going to do with all of them? Hand them a copy of the King James Bible and send them on their way. Find the Lord and be prosperous, or some goofy stuff like that. So potential causes for the mental health crisis among youth and young adults is, I'd argue, the abdication of personal responsibility, but to each their own. You go ahead. This is your thesis, my guy. I'm just here to criticize it. Have been part of an ongoing cultural discussion. Okay, is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Illness? That's not a word. Illness recently suggested social media's constant comparisons. Just blame it on the social media companies, okay? Constant comparisons and challenges to keep up to your pressure to perform. Yeah, it's almost like there's a concept that's just underneath of that, okay? It's almost like, somebody's missing out. Okay, cool. If you like all the lavish stuff that you see on social media, you kind of got to put in the work in order to achieve that. It's almost like it sounds like personal responsibility. Wow. Okay, but the decline across so many aspects of well-being suggests something even more fundamental is at work. I agree. Vanderweel causes the crisis of meaning and identity what it is, a crisis in connection. Yes, with your thoughts and actions? Oh, okay. And if you connect your thoughts and actions, you can get some connecting with some thoughts to do some actions. Main topic, or main channel topic. Whose extensive work has this ended up roping in Columbia University's Lisa Miller. Oh, great. So it's just going to be another woman telling us that you don't need to look after your own life. You can just put all your problems on Jesus and he will take care of you. Wonderful, fantastic. Whose extensive work on clinical psychologists and brain researchers led her to conclude this is an absence of support for children's spiritual growth. Oh my god, tell me your fucking star sign. Oh my god. Oh my god. Are you a Virgo? I can't fucking believe this. Oh, yeah. The innate set of perceptual capacities through which we experience connection, unity, love, and a sense of guidance. Okay, let's get on to the Jesus pill. Okay, as Vander Wheel and Miller both note, religion has traditionally supplied this essential support with significant implications for adolescent development and health. Find yourself a good girl at church, okay? It's definitely not one of these girls who drug themselves in after a hard night of partying. And yeah, she's nice. She's gotten right with the Lord. Now you just need to go ahead and look after her 2 kids that she got left by Chad when he decided to dump her for a younger model. Yeah, you'll find a good one at church. In fact, evidence suggests that religious involvement may have an even more profound health effects for adolescents than for adulthood, okay, with far-reaching implications across the course of life. Yeah, we know about the impact that the church has on young lives. Anyways, a 2003 review of research on the role of religion in the lives of American adolescents attempted to summarize what was known up to that time. Among the positive effects, the report found striking and consistent relationships between adolescent religiosity, I'll eventually get that word right, and healthy lifestyle behaviors. Okay, a modest relationship between religiosity. That's what, oh my lord, I'm so stupid sometimes. And healthy lifestyle behaviors. A modest relationship between religiosity and self-esteem and moral self-worth, and modest protective effects against alcohol, smoking, and drug use. No, I'd take a much more hardline stance, kind of like how it's written in the Bible. Okay, no drugs, no alcohol, no smoking. It's all stupid. It's all a sedative. It will all keep you further away. It will always keep your goals at an arm's length away. You'll never be able to reach it just because you want to continue to sedate yourself. Get rid of that stuff, and you know what? Hey, no, in moderation. Okay, it's just a big cope for people who just can't achieve their goals. If you don't want to win, fine. There's plenty of room up there for me when I get there. Anywho, stronger effects when reported for sexual activity. All right, with multiple facets of religiosity, including attendance, the importance of faith, and denomination. Yes, I do appreciate when one of my young disciples decides to get on my knees in front of me. Yes, I do think that I see the Lord every once in a while. Anyways, typically predicting later sexual engagement and less risky behavior. No, I'm a good guy. I keep people safe. Recent research incorporating more robust methodological designs has confirmed that these other cross-sectional studies found religious participation in adolescence. Why do you keep focusing on the kids, you weirdos? Is associated with a greater physiological well-being. How do you even measure that? How you feel today? How are you going to feel tomorrow? How'd you feel yesterday? Great. It's got good well-being. Okay. It's associated with greater psychological well-being, character strengths, and lower risk of mental illness. Okay, cool. So, you know that thing that's overdiagnosed? Mental illness, depression, and anxiety. Okay, cool. This could all just be summarized with embrace the struggle that comes along with being either a man, or find the support that you need if you're a woman. Like, I don't know. How about that? Maybe? No. No, just put your faith in Jesus. Why is religion impactful? Yeah, no, exactly. Oh, I've seen some funny stuff before we get to why it's so impactful. Miller similarly found that adolescents who had a positive, active relationship with spirituality were less likely to be use and abuse substances, 40% less likely. 40% less likely, huh? Okay, cool. And those trends continue to tick up, so okay, cool. If they're in the church, they can't be smoking the wacky tobacco. Okay, experience depression, 60%. That's all right. And engage in risky or unprotected sex. Boo! I'm just joking. Or wrap it up, or just, make sure that you got a good handful of hair if you're, hanging over a railing. Just saying. Oh, so why is religion impactful? Understanding the mechanisms through which religion positively impacts adolescents and young adult development further clarifies its expanse and of its influence. Okay. Previous research suggested that religion was largely about social control, encouraging adolescents not to do something they otherwise might have done. Interesting. Okay, I would disagree, but all right, continue. But it quickly became clear that a more multifaceted theory of religious influence was necessary. Okay, cool. Here's where I would add to this, but they already have, including how religion shapes them through the families in which they grow up. Okay, something that's very important here. You're seeing a lot about religion, which is something that I'm totally fine with. The teachings there within and the stories that you can learn your lessons from. Okay, those are all very important. Okay, but the church here, the church is being disassociated, which is fine because you take a look at your modern day pastors, which are just trying to be hip and cool and try to tell us how they embrace all people, and this church is a home for love and it's not a home for hate. Hate doesn't have a home here. It's just basically progressive jargon and nonsense. It's getting foisted upon anybody that's showing up to Sunday service in today's day and age. Okay, the cool hip pastor who ends up having to step down from his podium because, a certain sex scandal ends up hitting the local rags. Just saying. Christian Smith's extensive research of adolescent religiosity led him to articulate 3 additional mechanisms through which religion positively impacts adolescents and young adult well-being. Okay, let's see if you got something to this, because right now we're just kind of grasping at straws. First, religion provides a set of moral and delineated good and bad. Yes, okay, this is good, okay, acceptable and unacceptable ways of being, and focuses on virtuousness, including self-regulation, a strong sense of self, and compassion for others. I agree with that. Please don't go off the rails. Second, religious participation builds competencies, including coping skills, knowledge, and cultural capital, which strengthens health, social status, and life chances. I agree. Building your own tribe, building your own group of brothers, that's all very important as a man, okay? And then finding a good group of, like-minded females for women, incredibly important as well, okay? The two shall not mix. And that's where Islam definitely has that right. You go pray out in the boot room, and the men will just go into, the mosque. And just joking, it's not that bad. But it is, separated by sex, because they knew something, okay? All of that hate for the Quran sure looks pretty stupid now with the influence of the Alphabet Mafia and all your favorite churches and synagogues, huh? Anyways, finally, religious participation opens relationship ties with adults and peers who provide helpful resources and opportunities. Yeah, I guess it kind of helps with networking, but some of the worst people are also, once a week Christians, okay? That's been well documented, okay? Emotional support and guidance in their development. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Miller's research drew on MRI imaging of the brain that suggests that more foundational reality about religious engagement, with particular importance given to the unique challenges of today's adolescents and young adults. Miller has identified areas of the brain oriented specifically to the capacity for transcendent awareness. As her brain imaging research indicates, each person is born with a set of perceptual capacities to connect with the transcendent, through which we experience unity, love, connection, and a sense as we are held and guided. When we make full use of these natural capacities, our brains become structurally healthier, indicated by a thicker cortex in the regions of perception, increasing access to psychological benefits, including less depression, anxiety, and substance abuse, and increased access to positive psychological traits, including grit, resilience, optimism, and creativity. Okay, cool. I can't argue with the science that's there, okay? Those are the studies. That's what the studies are. People who engage more with the church, I'd have to figure out what exactly they mean. Well, not by the church, with religion, but Buddy beforehand was kind of really alluding to the interpersonal aspects of this type of stuff, which would kind of infer some kind of organized religious event. So, tomato, perhaps. So how are you going to put all of this into action? I would just ascribe to learning from the book and learning to navigate your life according to the lessons learned within. These realities have particular significance given the crisis of meaning, identity, and connection among adolescents and young adults. I would say that for everybody, though. Everybody's just been kind of wandering through this life being told that they're special and wonderful and fantastic, and when everything doesn't play out as accordingly in their life as they were told it would, they're just kind of lost because they've been kept on these paths with such high guardrails, but then when they get to the end and there's no more path, no more trails, maybe there's multiple paths, multiple trails, but there's no more guardrails. There's nobody there telling them and pushing them along the way. They're just kind of left hanging in the wind, and hopefully that's the only type of hanging that's going to be happening. In fact, as Miller articulates, it is the strength and use of these natural spiritual capacities that allows adolescents and young adults to move from loneliness and isolation to connection, from competition and division to compassion and altruism, from an enhanced focus on our wounds, problems, and losses to an openness to the journey of life. That sense of connection to a transcendent source takes an adolescent beyond a pieces and parts model of identity and splintered, fragmented view of self. She argues to a deep awareness of who we are to one another. Yeah. That's all wonderful and fantastic. This American Enterprise Institute, Daniel Cox, recently reported American religious identity has experienced nearly 3 decades of consistent decline. Yeah, but don't worry, it's just the young kids now, so that Gen Z is the least religious generation yet. But you take a look at what the churches continue to push, and you wonder why people are turning away from the good word now. Because you could even, hey, the big atheist movement that was real hot, during the late 90s, early 2000s, where it was so cool to not embrace God, man. But then you take a look at all of those people that were not embracing God. You already just have a mental picture in your mind of all of those people that are atheistic, and you can just smell your mental model of them. It's like, I don't want to be a part of that group, okay? And then I'd say probably the course was starting to get righted, when Jordan Peterson started to pop off in 2016, 2017, okay, where it was like you should probably learn from the book. And then he was constantly hit over the head with the question, do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? What about Jesus? And he's like, I act as though I believe in God. Well, what does that mean? Well, how long do you have? And I'll need to explain it all. Do we have hours to sit? I have a father to rescue from the belly of a whale. God damn it. Bloody hell. We need to save these kids. So yeah, man, I'm not going to purport that I have any of the answers, okay? I ain't got no fancy brain scans. I ain't got no fancy degrees or anything like that. All I know is societies that comport themselves as the Judeo-Christian foundations had a really, really, really strong run. And if they find a way to course correct and come back to those values, it could definitely be reclamation time for them, okay? I wish them all the best. But now I'm looking across the aisle to that book, man, that was vilified for the better part of 20 years. And starts with a Q and ends with an Aron, and got some damn good ideas that are over there, okay, man, and they're the ones that have definitely done a good job of rejecting the progressive ideologies that have permeated the other organizations that are out there. And it's definitely worth a second glance, because they're talking about some things, but then they're also talking about maintaining frame, and really do appreciate that. So yeah, man, I'm not all about, rejecting the GodPill. You do need some sort of religious foundation. Now, do you need the church on top of that? Maybe that's another discussion for another day. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.